The training camp for the Chicago Bears is right around the corner, so I'm going to give you guys my top 5 questions that I have heading into training camp for the Bears. So let's talk about that, people. What is going on? Y'all, Faiz Sports all back at it with another video talking, of course, some NFL, here to talk about the Chicago Bears and here to talk about training camp for the Bears, which begins this month, people. We are getting closer and closer to NFL football. Before I do talk about that, if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. That is the best way to support the channel. Please make sure you're following me on all my social media platforms. And guys, as always, hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I drop a new video. All right, so as mentioned, training camp is starting this month. July 26th is the date that training camp starts for the Chicago Bears. And I've got, as I'm sure you guys have, a ton of questions here. And so I'm going to give you guys my 5 top questions that I have. All right, and we'll go in kind of the order backwards, if you will, 5 all the way to 1. All right. And some of these you guys might be thinking are obvious. I tried not to be as obvious. Some aren't. Okay. But I'm going to go a little level deeper, okay, than like, say, the mainstream media would when talking about the Bears. All right. We're not just going to talk about the obvious, you know, is Justin Fields ready to take the leap in year 3? Right. Like we've talked about this topic a million times and we don't need to revisit that. Let's talk about deeper than that. All right. At number 5, let's start with this. Where does Velus Jones Jr. stand? All right. I know a lot of people might not be thinking about Velus, but it's important to me because we're talking about a guy going into his second year who was a 3rd round pick. All right. Let me repeat that. He was a 3rd round pick. This wasn't a guy who was a 7th or a 6th round pick where it's like, yeah, those are shot in the dark and you just, you know, take your chances and they probably won't make the roster. No, he's a 3rd round pick. We invested decent draft capital in him. Could have gotten some players that have already shown way more than Velus Jones Jr. has in their short career in the NFL. And keep in mind, yeah, the jokes are going to be there, but it's true. Velus is 26 years old. So going into second year, it's not like you can say, oh my goodness, Velus has all the time in the world. The NFL is a very, very quick business, if you will. It's a very, tough business. And so for Velus Jones Jr., you got to produce. And he did not produce his rookie year. And so where does he stand? I'm curious with the rest of the receiving roster. And this will go into my question 4, but let's just talk about this here. He's going to be fighting for a roster spot. Okay? We have a lot of receivers on the team. And his best bet could be making a name on special teams. He did not look good last year. Muffed a couple of punts. But that might be where he makes his name because he certainly will not start as a receiver. And so you kind of have to find your niche. Whatever the case may be, let's just be honest about it in that if Velus Jones Jr. doesn't show something to us this year, then this could be looked at as a big miss for Ryan Poles in terms of his draft picks. Because we're talking about a 3rd round pick here. Okay? So I'm looking to see, where does Velus Jones Jr. stand? Where does he find his footing in training camp? Like, where do they put him? Is he going to be primarily a return guy, a special teams guy? Or is he going to play more snaps in terms of, as a receiver? So that bleeds into question number 4, which is, will the Bears carry 6 or 7 receivers? As currently constructed, the Chicago Bears have, 7 receivers, I believe, that they can have on the roster. Or maybe it's 8, but let me just count it down with you guys here. DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, and Chase Claypool, projected starters, right, in your 3 wide receiver sets. After that, you're looking at Equanimeous St. Brown, Velus Jones Jr., and Dante Pettis. That's 6, all right? But I did not mention rookie Tyler Scott. And I believe Tyler Scott is more guaranteed for a roster spot than any of those last 3 guys I mentioned. So let's just go ahead and do the math here. You get the 3 starters with Moore, Mooney, and Claypool. You got Tyler Scott, who was a rookie that we just drafted this year. That's 4 receivers. And then now you've got pretty much 3 receivers left here. And the Bears could carry 6 or they could carry 7. If they carry 7, they're all in. If they carry 6, who of the 3 make it? We just talked about Velus. Could he get cut? Could it be ESB? Could it be Dante Pettis? My money, I believe it is going to be Dante Pettis who gets cut. And I think the Bears carry 6, but they very well could carry 7. All right? They very well could carry 7. We'll see here. But for the most part, I'm curious on maybe who kind of is the odd man out in training camp for the receiver spot, if there is one. All right, so that's question number 4. Question number 3, who is starting opposite Jalen Johnson? Jalen Johnson is going to be the outside cornerback for sure for the Bears, but who is the other outside cornerback, right? It is probably not going to be Kyler Gordon. I think he's going to be playing in the nickel. So if it's not him, then it's really going to be 2 guys. Tyreek Stevenson, who we drafted this year, or Kendall Vildor, who's got a little bit more experience. He's been on the team for a few seasons. My money's on Tyreek Stevenson winning this job outright. I just think he's the better cornerback. I think he's the more talented quarterback, and I think he's going to prove it in training camp. But hey, the coaches could always go with the vet. So Kendall Vildor has just as good of a chance to start as well. So to me, this is going to be very interesting to see, hey, who is starting opposite Jalen Johnson? So that's another question that I'm looking at. That's number 3. Number 2, the running back order, right? I've talked about, this kind of at length here, but I want to just preface it by saying this. Look, maybe Roschon Johnson starts later in the year, but kind of what's the order coming out of training camp? Right? Is it Herbert for sure as your starter, and then it's Dante Foreman as your backup, and then it's Roschon Johnson as your third guy on the depth chart, and then it's Travis Homer after that? Or are they just going to bury Roschon all the way down to 4th on the depth chart just because he's rookie? Or are they going to say, hey, it's going to be Herbert and Foreman 50-50 split right down the middle, because that's how the NFL is trending these days. We don't really have bell cow running backs anymore, and that's what the Bears running back staff is going to do. So I'm curious to see how is this running back order going to shake out. I'm thinking it's going to be Herbert as your starting running back. He is your best pure running back. And then you are going to have Dante Foreman kind of as your bruiser on short gains, 3rd and 1, 3rd and short, if you will. And Roschon Johnson, they'll sprinkle him in, plug him in, and give him some snaps when Herbert's not out there. But I think eventually he will just showcase his immense talent, because I think he's the complete back. And his pass catching skills are great. And so to me, that is really going to showcase his talent, and he's going to show up and show out. So I'm curious to see how the order comes out of training camp, because I think it's completely open. I don't think anything's set with the running back room. I think there's a chance Foreman could win it. He could start. I think there's a chance Roschon Johnson, if he impresses like crazy, could start in training camp, coming out of training camp. So to me, this is a huge storyline to keep an eye on. A huge question to keep an eye on is, what is the running back order? And finally, let's go to number 1. This is the elephant in the room. I'm sorry, we just have to address it. Where is the pass rush coming from? Right? Are we going to be signing a free agent heading into training camp, during training camp? Certainly not after, I hope. But are we getting more help along the pass rush lines? Because right now it's, Travis Gibson, and you're missing a lot there, right? You don't have much. DeMarcus Walker, you need more help. The interior is a little bit better, because you sign Andrew Billings, you got Justin Jones, veteran help there, and you drafted 2 rookies, Zach Pickens, Javon Dexter, but it's along the edges. Where is the pass rush coming from? Are you happy with your pass rush in the middle? And you're saying, hey, those guys in the interior, they're going to be enough. We don't need to add anybody on the outside, because we've got that in the middle. And so that's really addressing your question. Or you're saying, no, we're going to add somebody on the outside. Maybe a Yannick Ngakoue who's still out there. We'll sign him. But I need to know, where's the pass rush coming from? Are they happy with their, edges, the outside pass rushers, or will we add someone? And really, who's going to be starting alongside the entire defensive line? I want to know that. That is my number 1 question. So there we go, folks. My top 5 questions heading into training camp. Boy, I'm excited. I'll probably have daily camp update videos for you guys. So look out for that, man. But yeah, this is going to be so fun. I haven't been this excited for the season in a long time. And let's just, get right to it, man. So let me know what you guys think. Any questions that I missed, leave a comment down below if you guys have that. As always,